Hello and welcome to episode 57 of Triumph Beyond Trauma. My name is Rosie Skeen and I'm so thrilled to be back with you this week with an amazing episode. Today I have Hayley Boswell, the founder and CEO of Defence Kidz. Defence Kidz is a national charity supporting over 100,000 children of current and former Australian Defence Force members. A veteran spouse and former human rights lawyer, Hayley is a passionate advocate for military families, championing the introduction of Veteran Families Day and the identification of military children on school enrolment forms across Australia. She's also a proud member of the Veterans Advisory Council, advising government on policy that impacts veteran communities. Through Defence Kidz, Hayley has delivered thousands of educational resources, including children's books and deployment packs, helping children stay connected during times of separation. With a social media reach of over 26 million, she continues to harness the power of collaboration to ensure no military child feels invisible. As a veteran family, I am just so thrilled to bring you this episode with Hayley. The work that she is doing with Defence Kidz is phenomenal. If you haven't already, give them a follow on social media. She's incredible. So let's get into episode 57 of Triumph Beyond Trauma with Hayley Boswell. Welcome to Triumph Beyond Trauma, the podcast that explores journeys of resilience and hope. I'm Rosie Skeen, a yoga and breathwork teacher and founder of Tactical Yoga Australia. As a former soldier's wife, mum to 3 beautiful kids and a medically retired New South Wales police officer with PTSD, I understand the challenges of navigating mental health in the first responder and veteran community. Join us for incredible stories from individuals who've confronted the depths of mental illness and discovered their path to happiness and purpose, as well as solo episodes and expert discussions. Together, we'll uncover the tools to help you navigate your journey toward a brighter, more fulfilling life. Whether you're looking for helpful insights, practical tips, or just a friendly reminder that you're not alone, Triumph Beyond Trauma has got your back. You matter, and your journey to a happier, more meaningful life starts right here. Hayley, welcome to the podcast. I'm so glad to have you here today.
I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. I really love what you're doing with Defence Kidz. And, I've been following you for a little while just in the background. And as a veteran spouse and former defence wife, I know how important looking after the families is. But first, I would love for you to tell me about yourself and your background.
Sure. So I'm a military spouse. My partner served 24 years in the Royal Australian Navy, but I'm also an Army kid as well. So my dad served when I was very little. So my background is I grew up in Adelaide. I was always a bit of an overachiever. On reflection this morning of getting ready for this podcast, I was thinking about my background and where I started. And I genuinely have always loved helping people. And so for me, I was involved in, SRC as a kid and all the sports that I could do and all the extracurriculum work. So I was a peer support mentor as a child, and I always sort of wanted to help and make a difference in the community. So I always had that feeling and that knowledge that that was my purpose. My grandfather was a police officer. So for me, I was very much into community, and my grandmother used to teach vision impaired children how to read Braille. So I had these amazing mentors growing up who really sacrificed a lot for our community. And so for me, it was sort of a natural progression to move into continue helping people when I was older. So when I was about 14 at high school, I met my best friend, Bradley, and I knew that from the minute I saw him, he was my soulmate. I just knew, I met him, I loved him. He didn't need to talk. I just knew that there was this deep connection.
Yeah.
A little bit disgusting, but it's true. And so we used to hang out on weekends, and, he used to come over and we used to watch movies under quilts and things like that. So it was real innocent, which is obviously not what they're doing at 40. So much. Very different, different world in the 90s, showing my age. But, it was really innocent, best friend, kids hanging out. And then he joined the Royal Australian Navy. And I was gutted beyond belief. And I didn't know really how to process him leaving me, to be quite honest. And So he left, and every year he would come back and visit me. I was working as a checkout chick at Foodland.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, right, at Matapara. So I loved my job. I would be there every Thursday night earning my wage, and he would come in occasionally and go through wait in the line between all these trolleys to buy, probably one lolly to wait to speak to me as the guy through the checkout. And I would speak to him for all of 5 minutes because then he would have to go. And then I would have to process the fact that he would left me all over
gone
again.
again. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that happened quite a few times, and then I'd have to get back into, "Don't think about him, don't think about him, don't think about him." And then he was sort of a bit quiet. We didn't have Facebook back then, and I think there was, like, MySpace was coming into, oh my god, this is how old I am.
A long time. Yeah.
MySpace was coming into it, but it wasn't there yet. So there was no real way that you could keep connected to military. Like, you would literally be writing letters and occasional phone calls, but not really. And he was at sea all the time, so there was no communication really. I moved on and started working as a youth worker, which I absolutely loved, and helping the families out at Elizabeth. And that was really impactful for me. And I felt like I really contributed to a lot of them having, I guess, more stable relationships. So I really enjoyed that. So I worked there for a while. Then I worked with children who were in residential care who had been removed due to neglect and things like that. So that was also like a real pivotal time for me that I just felt like I was making a difference.
Yeah.
But I felt like I needed something different. So I started studying law, and that was amazing. I've always been into true crime. Obviously, my grandfather being a police officer, he didn't want me being a copper. He was like, "You don't want to see what I've seen. That's all right." So, oh, okay, but I probably do. And he's like, "No, you don't. You don't want to see these things." So law for me was a way that I could give back to the community and really make a difference. So I went into law, started working in just real basic wills and estates kind of work, and then moved into criminal law, which I loved. And I focused on youth because that was obviously a passion of mine. So I helped a lot of kids. And then I moved into human rights, which was really something that I thrived in. So I set up the human rights practice within this company. I loved it. I was helping women who had been sexually harassed in the workplace. So for me, it was really fulfilling. I was getting them justice and a whole lot of money. So I thought this is it. This is where I want to be. And then I was just loving life. So I had my career. I was, hanging out with amazing people, learning new skills. And then I was on Facebook one night, and Bradley connected with me on Facebook. And I thought, oh, hold on, what's going on here? And so we started chatting, and he said, "Oh, I'm moving back to Adelaide." And I thought, oh my goodness, I can't even deal with this information. My head's exploding. I think I may have screamed. I may have cried. I can't really remember, but I do remember that I was just completely overwhelmed with the situation, and if he would still like me after all these years. And so we reconnected at a Regurgitator concert. Love Regurgitator. How great are they? They're both vintage, but they keep coming up. I love them.
Yeah.
So we sort of reconnected there at the good old Gov in Adelaide, had some drinks, basically just fell straight back into best friends at 14 years old, which was really shocking for me. Like, I was like, "What? How is this so normal? How we've been apart so long? Like, how have we gone back into that normal friendship phase?" And so from then, it literally felt like 5 minutes later, I had my first child, Evie, and I was on maternity leave from law. And during my maternity leave, it's kind of where Defence Kidz started, because then I got to really, I guess, understand and, all the challenges and things that came with having a military child, a defence kid, and all of a sudden being a military spouse. So that's sort of where, I guess, the first seed started for Defence Kidz.
Yeah.
And then, so I created, for his first Father's Day, I created my first book, which was supposed to be just for him and her to maintain connection whilst he's away, because I had a bit of a freak out one night thinking, how am I going to keep them connected? I don't want them to be a broken family. I want us to be a strong, secure family. How do we do this? And I thought, well, reading is a good way to bridge that. So I created my first book, which is My Dad's in the Australian Navy, for them. And I gave it to him for Father's Day, and then he put it on his private Facebook page. And then within, it felt like 5 minutes, but it was probably within 24 hours, we had about 200 private messages saying, how do we purchase this book?
Wow.
Yeah.
What year was that?
That would have been, how old's Evie now? Evie's 8. So it would have been about, probably about, Evie would have, so about 7.5 years ago. Yeah, because she was only young. She would have only been about 6 months old.
About like 2018 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is about the same time that I became a defence spouse and moved to Adelaide. Because I remember being there, and maybe a couple of years later, hearing about your books and things like that. Yeah. So after all of those comments, what did you do?
Well, I was
Break out?
Yeah, well, I was completely in shock because I was like, what is this? Like, is this a thing? Like, is this a need? Is this a gap? Like, what is this? And so then I said, oh, well, of course, like if you want, and I sort of thought it was a little bit funny because I said, well, if you want the book, I mean, it's just something I've whipped up for my child. But if you want it, of course, like if it's going to help you, sure. So I got a whole load of them printed, and then I just started sending them out to people who were requesting them. And then that blew out. And then all of a sudden, I thought, well, I probably should have a little page on Facebook so that people can, talk about it or whatever. And then it just blew up. So I had army spouses saying, why have you got a Navy book and not an army spouse book? How dare you? And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize this was a thing. And then, the Rafi spouses, and then like, honestly, grandparents, aunties, uncles, they're all like, where's our book? And I was like, I don't know, like, what is happening? So it sort of took on a life of its own. It wasn't something that was intended. It was completely innocent. We've now distributed over 18,000 of those books.
Wow, that's incredible.
It's incredible. And, people are using them in the most amazing situations. So not only are they like really innovative ways as well. So not only just schools have them, childcare centres have them, defence community centres have them now as well. But also when families are deployed or separated, they're reading the books and recording them and sending them back to their loved ones so they can show them the children and they can read them together. So yes, there's just it's giving me goosebumps because it just genuinely was something that was so innocent that I just sort of stumbled upon because I thought that my child needed it.
Yeah. Isn't that a great way to start something though? Just a beautiful idea of connection.
Completely organic. Completely organic. And, so it's, so now we have the 7 children's books. We have a bedtime story, which encompasses all the family members intentionally so that no one feels left out. And then we've got the mum and dad version of the trial services. We've also got a graphic novel with our new characters, which have been designed by a military spouse, which I love.
Oh, so good.
Everything about our branding is really lived experience, people who understand military life. And we do that intentionally because we want to make sure that, we're encompassing the correct image and that people can relate to them and feel seen and heard in these characters. So, the writers of our books are military spouse. It's a military spouse, Jo Bretchen. She's amazing. She's a producer. And Nicole McKenzie is a current spouse as well. So Jo is an army spouse and then Nicole is a Navy spouse. And yeah, they're just phenomenal. Like the characters are so good. And she also used to work for Disney and Pixar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So this is why they're at this level. Like they're obviously not just, kids drawings. They're actually illustrated, amazing, beautiful characters that she's designed. So we've been really fortunate to have these 2 women who are so intelligent and so lovely and who just are so empowered by our community to give back and give their time to, help us grow this brand.
Yeah. Do you guys have a cartoon coming as well?
So the cartoon, So with the cartoon, so we're still trying to find the right fit. It's been difficult to say that because we want to make sure that the people that we're bringing along with this journey understand the lived experience.
Yeah.
So we're sort of still trying to find like what is the right platform. Obviously, it's actually been interesting because they're changing obviously the rules around YouTube at the moment. And we were looking to progress this to launch on YouTube. Now, obviously, that's probably going to be a good idea now. So we're sort of pivoting to see where the right fit is for our families, because we want to make sure that it's on a platform that everyone has access to. We don't really want to make it, if we can avoid it, we don't really want to be putting on a platform that is going to cost a lot of money. We want to make sure this is accessible to everybody. But it's going to be interesting to see where this goes, because now YouTube, obviously kids aren't going to be able to access it under 16, which is where our audience is going to be.
Yeah.
I guess watch that space. I'm not sure how that's going to work, to be honest.
You don't want to have to pay for it either. Like,
You definitely do not want to. And that's not, that's not the intention of where we've come from. Like, we want, same as our resources, right? Like, we want to be in a position where we're offering all these resources for free. So whenever you need them, they're available. That's why we are creating things like we've got postcards in the way. Well, we've actually just launched some, but we're creating some more postcards for families to be able to stay connected. We've got deployment packs at the moment, which we've been sending out to families. We've also got bereavement packs. Unfortunately, as sad as it is, we've had quite a few families reach out where a family member has passed away and the children are struggling. So we've been sending out bereavement packs as well. So we want to make sure as much as possible that these resources are free. The issue that we have around that is that funding. We do this, like, I don't draw a wage from this. We do this completely as volunteers. We are a charity, so we have DJAR status now. So every donation is tax deductible, which is great for corporates. So, we rely on every dollar to be able to create these packs, to be able to send them out. I mean, I put in a lot of money into the packs because I believe that these children need it. We've had some amazing sponsors come on board recently, though. So we've had Defence Health, who have been amazing with us and so supportive. So they're funding a lot of the packs to go out, because a lot of the costing is actually in postage. It's really expensive.
Yeah.
It's so expensive. The packs themselves, not that bad, but the postage is a shocker. So we've got Defence Health, we've got APOD. So they've been really, really great in sponsoring us as well. We've got WorkSec. So we've got these amazing people that are rallying around us. But honestly, the more support, the better. So if somebody's listening and they are wanting to support, we are more than happy to have that conversation to see how, you can support us to support this community, because children don't choose to have a life of service.
Right? Yeah, they don't.
They definitely do not choose it, but we need to be supporting them better.
Yeah.
They're unseen in a lot of the time. So
yeah, I agree with that. And one of the things I think leads from that and the children being seen is how you have advocated for the checkboxes in South Australian schools. And I'd love for you to explain that to people that might not know what that means, how important it is. I know I have experienced my kids, like my eldest went to 5 primary schools and my second went to, I think, 3 or 4 through 3 states. And it's really tricky to navigate, 1, interstate school transfers, but 2, explaining to the schools, if they aren't, close to a base, what that actually means for the children. So I would love if you can talk about that.
Yeah, so it's such a great initiative. So I always say South Australia is the first in everything, because I just love how innovative we are over here.
I think I agree with that.
Yeah, just our South Australian government, they really do listen, and our Veterans Affairs Minister Joe Stockhart he's so passionate about supporting veterans and families. So we go to him I'm on the Veterans Advisory Council as well. So we go to him and say, look, this is another idea that we can help, and he's really open to listening and and supporting these kids. So basically what's happened is I think we're in our second year now. So a little while ago, we noticed that military children weren't being identified in schools. And I guess for us, and something I was thinking about was, how do you best support a cohort of children or humans when you don't know where they are? Yeah. So we advocated with the minister at the time and the Minister for Education, Blair Boyer, to start identifying military children in schools in South Australia. So now all public schools in South Australia, you can identify as a military family. And it's not just current serving, it is also veteran families. So I think that, and even reservist families. So I think that's really important. Some of the other states do have tick boxes in their schools for a current serving, but none of the other states are capturing the data like we are, and which is all encompassing. So that's one of the initiatives that's been in place, which is amazing. There's some research going on behind the scenes at the moment and data collecting around that so that we can better identify where the children are, but also how to better support them. So that's one that's been really exciting. I am extremely proud of that because I just think that, if we don't know where they are, we can't support them. So this is one that's going to have an impact. We're now pushing for Catholic education and all the other schools, the private schools to also adopt it. So that will come through. And I think we're doing that through the Veterans Advisory Council to, get them on board, get them excited about military children to best support them. So through the Veterans Advisory Council, we have a number of initiatives. So I also advocated for the Veteran Families Day, which is also a first in the country, go South Australia. So May 15 every year now is Veteran Families Day. So that's another one where South Australia is leading the way in veteran family support. So yeah, so we've got some really good initiatives coming through, which is fantastic because the better they're supported, the better the community is, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think with those checkboxes too, you're saying we can see where the kids are and where they're coming from, but there's so much behind that one little box. There's so much that could be happening behind the scenes in those children's houses. This is sort of like a mental health podcast. A lot of veterans might be dealing with some mental health issues within the household. And that could just shine a little light on what could be possible for those children. The fact that they might have moved, 3 times in the last couple of years, just all these little nuances that come with being a defence kid, it's captured in one checkbox, which I think is just incredible.
Yeah. Little tick box, but really big impact.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a good initiative. I'm really glad that the government understood the significance of that. It's always great when you have government really understanding it and just going, oh yeah, I understand why you need that. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's do it. And that's basically what happened.
Yeah, that's so good. Congratulations.
Oh, it's good. Look, and I think it's just important, and it's something that will, it's almost a legacy for me now, I think, because it's something that will be generational. It's there now. It's in the enrollment forms. So I think, it's fantastic to be, even play a little part in that is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. What other states did you mention, other states that have done it or are looking at doing it?
So WA has current serving. They're looking to move into also changing it to, military families. There's also, we've spoken to NT. They're looking at doing the veteran family piece as well, and Canberra as well. So we're pushing the other state. We're advocating strongly for the other states to also come on board and, support military children and families as a holistic means rather than just current serving. Current serving are very important, but there's also challenges and things that come with being a veteran child. And why are we not including them?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So just with the kids, do you get feedback from the children who have, or like from their families, that have received the books and read the books or received the bereavement packs or the deployment packs, probably more so, and what that means to the kids?
Yeah, so we're very engaged on social media. So our reach at the moment is something like 26 million. Like it's it's ridiculously large. And it's because we have such a big defence community.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, it's so big. I mean, 1 in 20 families, 1 in 20 households is a military family. It's such a huge cohort of humans. So yeah, we often get the most amazing photos and words about what it means to their family. We had one the other day. They often, honestly, I cry quite a lot. There's a lot of tears in my life, happy tears, but one of them was that they received the deployment pack. The child was struggling, and for 3 months, the child hasn't actually slept in her own bed. And so we sent this pack out, and the feedback was that it was the first night that a little girl had slept in her bed by herself with a sensory koala.
Yeah.
So, that for me is so big because it's not just a child. It means she's safe. It means she's feeling secure. She's feeling safe, and that, it's having the impact, but also what that is giving to the family unit, that mum now has some space to be able to breathe and have some space in her bed, which honestly, there's no value on that.
That's my foot.
That's right. Having space to sleep in your own bed and having a good night's sleep. So the flow on effect of these deployment packs, child sleeps better, parents sleep better, parents are happier because they're getting sleep. The whole family unit is supported because that child is sleeping better.
Yeah.
So they're having that sort of impact. We have lots and lots of feedback about the books and how they're making children feel more connected to the parent, that they use them in in their correspondence to each other, that they talk about them, that it's an education piece. So a lot of the children take the books to school or they're in the libraries and they borrow them. My child still borrows the book, even though she's got 20 copies of it home.
Okay.
Yeah, so she brings it home all the time, and I'm saying, "Can you please bring it back for other children?" And she's so proud that they're her mum's story. So she often brings them home. But it's good for libraries and for schools to have them because it starts the conversation about military children, what they go through, what their challenges are, acceptance of children when they come into the school. So there's a bigger piece around those books. So yes, they're important to the family, but the education piece is actually really important too.
Yeah. Can I ask, when you get feedback like that, what does that mean to you? Starting from that one book for your daughter and your partner, and then now having that impact.
It's look, it's how do you explain it? It's such a privileged position that I'm in. I feel very privileged to be able to support this community. It often makes me cry, genuinely. I feel it because I have been there with my children. So I feel it on a real personal, deep level. But I think I'm just very fortunate that I was given this role. I feel like it was given to me. I feel like it's a purpose.
Yeah.
I'm using my skills as a lawyer to really implement change in the community for the better. And I know that I can do that. And I know I'm the right person for it. And that's not my ego speaking. I genuinely feel that. I feel like I'm here to make a difference for these children. And I feel like I've always led to this with my background in youth work and, my representing young people in the court system. Like, I feel like this is always where I'm supposed to have been. So it feels very purpose driven. But it definitely hits me in the feels quite often. Like, I will read a message out to my partner and I'll just be like, oh, I can feel this pain, or, like, oh, I can just, like, I feel so privileged that I get this information or this incredible insights into these families' lives. I'm in a very unique position, but one that is never taken for granted. Never.
Yeah. I think one thing that I did write down is that you obviously have a sense of equity and fairness, like within you, like you want just things to be fair for people.
Yeah.
And that really shines through. And like you said, with your youth work and then becoming a lawyer and a human rights lawyer, and then now into this, just creating fairness across the board.
Yeah. Well, I think that our children have been forgotten historically. Look, we're getting better at it. We're definitely getting better at supporting these military children, but we're nowhere close to where we should be. There's a lot. I look at the States and I speak to a lot of the people over there, and I think, well, what programs are they doing to better support our children, and how do we incorporate that over here? There is, I think, a lot of me is about fairness, and why are these children whose parents are always away, who go away to serve our country, to protect our oceans, to protect our way of life, and why are we not supporting these children better? Like, that's not good enough. Like, we need to be supporting them better, and they need to have better access to mental health, Children under 5 don't have access to open arms, for example. Why not? They should.
Maybe not. I didn't know that.
No, they don't. So, because they say that they're not a pediatric service. Okay, that's fine that you're not. However, then government needs to step up and say, well, they're not a pediatric service. However, we're going to fund this pediatric service for them then. There needs to be something's missing in that piece. So I think that it needs to be, that you're right, they're forgotten. So how do we make it fair? How do we make sure that these kids are better supported? We've been very fortunate that we have really good ambassadors to be able to, I guess, support us in the background. So we have people like Mark Beretta, from Channel 7. We have Dan Ewing, who used to be the Black Power Ranger everybody loves the Black Power Ranger from TV. And, we have Deputy Chief of Army. We have the CDF's advisor, Ken Robertson. So we have these amazing people behind us that we can call on to say, look, this is a problem. Can you help me navigate this? and they are our biggest cheerleaders. They have been phenomenal. And now we've even got ambassadors in the US. So we're global domination at some point. But I think that that's really important to show, it doesn't matter where our Australian military families are based. They should all be supported. So it doesn't matter if they're in America.
Yeah.
So now we're working with like an organization called VetTix, who basically in America, they're amazing. They give out I think it's over 12,000 tickets per day to military families.
Oh,
Yeah, which is phenomenal, phenomenal numbers. And so we work closely with them so that now we can support military children that are going over to the US to bridge that gap between the ocean, because it shouldn't matter where they serve. They should all be supported.
yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. And I don't have to leave this in. I'm just curious. I had Veteran Gaming Australia come on. Do you work with them, Samuel Harris?
So it's really funny. So it's one of those ones that we keep coming across each other and we haven't really sat. We need to actually sit down and be like, right, let's have a chat, because a lot of our military children are into gaming, and it kind of makes sense that we should be collaborating.
I was going to say, just in my brain, I'm like, these guys should be working together somehow.
Yeah, we absolutely should. I think there's another one as well, which is there's a veteran racing team in Adelaide as well. And that's another one which we keep saying, can we chat? Can we chat? And we see each other at events. But I think it's hard to pin down all of us because we're so busy in, like we collaborate with a lot of different organizations. So to pin us down and be like this one, we're just time poor.
Everyone's busy. Yeah.
Everyone's busy. And like, even at the moment, we work with the Adelaide 36ers and we do a families day with them, and they give us tickets for Remembrance Round. And, we're working with Port Power, and we're also doing some really cool initiatives around, like Veterans Days, and, there's a Families Day coming up. So, but it's constant. Like, I feel like there's always something. Like, if I have 5 minutes to myself, I'm thinking about what's the next thing I need to put on social media so that families are aware, or what's the next initiative I need to make sure that they can sign up for so they don't miss out. So even the deployment packs at the moment, they've been so popular to the point where we had to close down a wait list because we had too many people, and it was taking me weeks to pack these deployment packs because I'm doing it by myself in Adelaide. So I was like, okay, everyone just needs to calm down. Like, let's just take a breather and let me just work through this. So I get messages on the daily saying, when are you going to open this? When are you going to open this? So the need is there, and I'm really conscious of that need and desperation for support. So it's like, but I just can't do this. I can't do everything, right? So we're navigating that at the moment, actually. And something that's interesting actually is that, so we are building, and this is probably something good for people to know actually. So we're building a website at the moment, which is being built by Green Fox Studios. So they do a lot of, they're a charity as well, and they do training, and they're phenomenal. Kelly Wilmot is amazing. She goes into prisons and teaches children about how to access Adobe and how to do illustrations, and like, she's just a phenomenal person. So if you need a website built, actually, she's amazing. You should go to her. But she's building our website at the moment, and it's going to be a military children hub. So basically everything is there. All of our resources are there. Everything is in the one spot. And then through that hub, it will be that you can sign up for deployment packs, because what's happening is they're going directly to my inbox on Messenger and keeping up. I'm writing you can imagine, right? You can feel
my eyes twitching thinking about.
No, this is legit how it's happening. People think that I've got this system. I don't. The system is a notebook, Messenger, me writing down details. I've got columns in a notebook. I've got pages and pages of children's names, and it's just a lot. It's too much. So now we're building it into this system, which is going to be phenomenal. And I think it's going to be released at the end of this month. So, yeah, so then we've got an actual process of, how do we get these out to families? And because what I'm doing notebooks, like ridiculous. But anyway, it's what you do to get through it. But yeah, so that's going to be really exciting. And all of our new resources are going to be on there to be downloaded. There's going to be certificates for kids on there. So we send them out at the moment as part of the deployment pack. And kids love the certificates. So
They love a certificate.
look, I still got a certificate. I'm not even joking. I haven't told anyone this. I sometimes bring it to resumes for a joke, but for interviews for a joke. I've got a certificate from I reckon it was year 9, and it said for being a nice person. I'm not even joking. I don't know what I did, but apparently it was nice. And so I've kept that certificate, and I've got this folder that I bring to every single interview when I was younger. And I would say to them, these are my certificates. I'm like, "Oh, okay. And I would say, look, if we could just make reference to page 5, please, and really notice how great that certificate is. And they would look at me and go, okay, like, what's this widow talking about? And they would read it and they would die with laughter. And every time I would get the job.
Oh, that's so good. I would put it in there too if I had a certificate like that.
I'm a nice person. I feel like I should frame it. It's such a good certificate. So maybe I should make those for the kids as well for being a nice person. It's a good one, actually. But even when we go to events, so we go to joint transition seminar events, and we've got one coming up in Adelaide, and we go to Amberley as well. Our board member Kelly goes there, and she's phenomenal flying the flag over there for us. And there's always a lineup at events for certificates, and is really sweet. So they want a sticker, of course, every time, sticker and a certificate, and they are happy, and they feel seen, and they feel recognized, and they celebrate their success in that moment. And every time we give it to them, we make a bit of you're an amazing Defence Kid. We're thankful for your service as well, because it's really important that we thank you, because you're doing a great job for our community. And they look like they have been given a ton of gold every single time. And their parents are crying and they're happy, and all from a little piece of a certificate for recognition. I wouldn't think it'd be so impactful. It's one of the most impactful things we do.
Yeah. Just on that, like the children's service. And that was one of the things, when we were an active defence family, that I felt really deeply that the kids were really doing something real important when their dad would leave for his training, and every time he had to go, we would, defence family during COVID, so he was away a lot of the time, and they were so little, and just seeing their little hearts break every time all the green would come out into the hallway just before they go, it was like a vomit of green through the house. And just seeing them sort of start to process what's happening, because you talk about it, right? Like when they're about to go away, you talk about it for a couple of weeks. Daddy's going to go soon. And then it starts happening, and then they're gone. And then as a little unit, you're the only ones. I mean, there's so many other families experiencing the exact same thing, but in your household, that's what's going on for you. And then navigating that over weeks or months, it's so hard. So just showing them that that's such an important thing that they're doing for everyone else. It's so important.
It's so interesting. Whenever Brad would go away, I would feel myself pulling away from him.
Yeah.
And it sounds strange, right? Because when you talk about it to a civilian person, and I've had this conversation with cities before, and they say, but wouldn't you want to appreciate the time you've got left? And I'm like,
we're in preparation mode.
I'm angry that he's going. Like, why is he leaving me again? And it's not, like, I know the importance of his job, but in the moment, your feelings are raw, and you're just like, right, you're going to leave me, and I've got 2 kids here. I'm hating on you right now.
That's it. Yeah.
100%. And they're completely normal feelings, but civilians don't understand that. They're like, oh, but you should be nicer to him. It's like, no, he's lucky if I even make him a coffee in the morning. I'm angry. Like, he's leaving me again. So, and I think as well, like, genuinely, I feel like and I've said this on another podcast as well, I feel like when he left me when I was 14, I feel like I get triggered every time he goes now, which is so strange. Like, it hasn't left. That feeling of like, you're leaving me again is still really raw. And so it gets triggered every single time. And even the kids, when he would leave, I would look at their faces and I would just be gutted for them. And there is no, like, how do you make them feel better? Yes, you can put stuff in place. Yes, you can say, let's use some books, let's have some cuddle time, but at the end of the day, you can't ever 100% remove the sadness, right? Their dad's just left or their mum's just left. Of course there's going to be an element of sadness. And I remember my cousin's a teacher, and we talk about defence children a lot in the schooling. And I remember her saying that in the class, they know the minute a posting order has come out because the children start detaching from the classroom.
Wow.
Yeah, and I thought that's really interesting, and I'd never heard that before. So, and I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "They disengage from the minute they are told. They start disengaging." And I said, "Well, why would they do that? Because you think that they're still busy, they're still doing schoolwork." And she said, "No, because they go, what's the point? We're going to leave. Like, I'm not putting in the extra effort now. And also, I don't want to continue to make these really good friendships when I know I'm about to leave and it's about to end." So I thought that was really interesting as well. Whereas, like from a civvy perspective, you would think, oh, well, make the most of the time with your friends and let's all be positive and you'll get to see them again. You've got a phone and you've got Facebook. Whereas kids and spouses are like, nah, we're hating on you and you can just leave us alone. So it's interesting the different, and look, not all spouses obviously would be like hating on their partners like I generally do when he leaves me. There's a lot of spouses that do take the quality time and it's all very nice, and that's great for them. It's just not my life.
Yeah, I feel I hate him.
And I love that for them. Like, I genuinely love that for them, that they can appreciate the quality time. Like, I wish, honestly, that I had that skill to be able to do that, because I'm tried. I've genuinely tried, and I'm like, no, let's make the most of this. And deep down, I'm like, why are you leaving me?
That deep devil voice.
I know, and I can't help it. And I try, but it's just not me.
No, I think you just know what's coming, don't
Yeah.
you? You just know how hard.
There's going to be children vomiting,
Yeah,
there's going to
yeah.
be cold, you know that you're going to be tired and exhausted, all these things. So I think that at the same time, would I say don't go? No, absolutely not. Like, I think it's really important he goes. And it's the same as I did a post the other day, actually, which made me laugh. So, I think it was the Navy, yeah, HMA Sydney, which is actually my partner helped build that ship. So HMA Sydney did a post the other day, and it was the most amazing post. It was on a story, and it was all the sailors jumping off the side of this massive ship into the ocean, and there was this beautiful sunset, and there was a barbecue, and there was music, and everyone was happy and joyous, and all I could see in the back of my mind was all the spouses throwing hate at this and I was laughing, and I thought, oh, and I said to Brad, talk about a trigger for spouses. And I said, do you know what? And I said, again, we love that for them, and we
Yeah.
love that they have that, and we know that they're in a high tempo job, and we know that they need that downtime because it is so stressful out there, and it's hard work what they're doing. But in our heads, we're seeing parties and pina coladas and sunsets.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It's their own holidays. How's your holiday?
Yeah, like that they're having a beautiful holiday, and look, because you see 5 seconds on social media and, that becomes the narrative in your head, right? So, yeah, so it's quite funny. So I would often say to him when he would go away, I'd be like, "What are you doing tonight? Having pina coladas on the deck, are you?" And he'd be like, I do, I do really hard work." And it's like, "Yeah, I'm sure you do." So how was the pina colada? Did they have fresh pineapple tonight, or, what was it? But it's, I sound horrible, but, I think it's healthy. Mm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think like whatever helps to get you through it is totally fine.
Yeah.
As long as it's legal. Like,
And
yeah.
Yeah. Life hack can help, law background, it's helpful. Yeah, so it's interesting. It's interesting. It's a very unique life that we lead. And would I change it? Absolutely not. I love our community. I love the closeness of our spouses, and that our Defence Kidz get to play with each other, and, they get to hang out. And like, I think our community is one of the strongest. So I think it's great. I love our community. I'm very privileged to be a part of it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think 2 of my very best friends I met being a defence spouse, and they're the same. And just having the children come together when, all our the boys, well, the women too, were away, because the kids don't have to explain anything to each other either. Like, there's just the knowing that everyone's dads are gone, and it's just the mums, and we're all getting through it together. But it's different when they go to school, when they're at school, and the other kids had no idea why their dad wasn't there half of the time and all that sort of stuff. So having that community where nothing needs to be said and it's just so supportive is
Yeah. Yeah.
invaluable.
Yeah, the norm, right? And it's
Yeah.
really the norm. And I think that's why, like, it's a shame that we don't have defense school mentors at every school, to be honest, because it just needs to be normalized that those children aren't, like, I mean, we think they're pretty special, but we don't want them to be a standout that the parent's always away.
Yeah.
So, we want them to feel like they're part of that community and that their life experience is normal. It's far from normal, but we want them to make sure that they're safe and secure at all times. So, it would be great to be able to have something like that at every school. I think it's essentially needed. Like, our school doesn't have one for our girls, but what we've done as the military spouses is I've somehow managed to find them all. I don't know how this has happened, but I found talking or researching, I'm not sure however you put it, but I've managed to find them, and we've created a little WhatsApp group that we've got all the military spouses in the same group, so that when something happens or, when I'm doing something with the charity and they need some extra support, I can sort of say, hey, this is going on, let's connect and keep it in together. So
That's amazing.
yeah, well, it's a good way to do it, right? So, like, I would encourage, like, if you're listening and you're a military spouse, like, I think that's, yes, you need to do a little bit of conversations around who they are, but it's 1 in 20 households, right? There's a lot of spouses at every school. So it doesn't take much to create your own little crew, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about community and connection.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of that, did you partner with Invictus Australia?
Yeah. So, we're all over the spectrum at the moment. So, you find in with Invictus, which is amazing. They're just such amazing, passionate crew of people. We work closely with Vanessa and Michael, and what we did was we had a sponsor, which is Exoskeletons. And so what they did is they came on to support us so that we could create specific T-shirts for the children so that they felt a part of the Invictus experience as well. So the kids were so sweet. So they had their Invictus T-shirt with a big Defence Kidz, label on it and the sponsor exoskeleton on the back. And they loved it. So we were receiving, when that was happening, so many photos and videos of the kids screaming in their Defence Kidz T-shirts and things like that. So I think that was really important because, look, yes, it was absolutely a great brand opportunity, but for us, it was about making sure that those children felt part of the experience, but also seen. And those T-shirts ensured that they were seen. People were asking them about, what T-shirt is that? What is that? And they're like, oh, I'm a Defence Kid. So it empowered them in a real simple way, and it gave them an identity. So I think that's the cool thing about, we've got some T-shirts that we have as well that we put in some of the packs. And what it does is it empowers them and creates an identity for them to be proud of service, but also proud of themselves for being such a cool kid. So all of our, I guess, initiatives and little bits and pieces that we do are all created with purpose. They're not just sort of like chucked in there of like, oh, that will, kids will like that. There's a sensory koala is weighted, for example. The certificates are about recognition. Postcards are about connection. We've got little bracelets that we haven't sent out yet. This is like your little scoop, but we've got bracelets coming, which are going to be amazing. And the dad wears one, or the mum, and the child wears one, and it's got a little card that goes with it that says basically you'll always be connected as long as you wear the bracelet together. So it keeps them connected even though they're separated. So everything that we do has meaning on purpose, which I think is really important. We don't want to just be putting out rubbish that, is a fad for 5 minutes. We want to make sure that it's having an impact in their family, a real positive influence.
I think it's amazing that you're not overthinking it either, and just creating things, like just keeping it so simple, like just books and koalas. It's relatively simple, but the meaning behind it is so intense.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it gives you all the feels, like when you see the photos coming through of children, wearing the bracelets. Like we did one, like the bracelets. We went to, I think it was Amberley recently. There was a deployment happening, and we had our board member Kelly go over there to talk about transitions and deployments and things. And we grabbed a whole load of them and gave them out to the family so that they could, as a pre-deployment to keep them connected. And they were just lapping them up. They were like, this is a great idea. And it's something that's so simple, so simple, but so impactful. And, the connection between children and their families is so important. I mean, it has a ripple effect for the rest of their lives. So if we can make sure that these kids feel supported whilst their parents are away protecting our country, then amazing, right? The ripple effect is going to be forever. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And we love our kids. They're so good. Like they just, they move all around. They lose friends, they make friends, they have challenges, but they're brave and the bravest of children. So we've just got to show up for them and we've just got to get better at it.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you do? Like, I know that you said before when you get 5 minutes to yourself, you're just thinking about the next thing that you need to do.
Yeah.
Do you actively take time for yourself though?
Look, do I take time for myself? Yeah, like I think I do, but I don't think it's in a way that people would think. Like I generally look, I do like to occasionally go to a spa or, like I feel like that's pretty amazing. But I have ADHD, so for me to shut down my brain is actually
I get it.
non-existent. And this is why I'm a bit of a high achiever, right? Because my brain is always like next, which is why I struggle with acknowledgement and really just taking time to pause and reflect on what we've created. Like that's actually a really difficult thing for me to do because I'm like, yes, like it's great. Like, and this is why I guess the messages to me are so important because it actually actively makes me stop and think. Because if I don't do that, I sort of keep, next. So I think for me, like my downtime, honestly, it sounds funny, but I'm very creative, shock horror. And so for me, like even creating like this morning, like before this podcast, like creating this tile with these characters and doing some artistic flair, like that's actually really cool downtime for me. And I know it's still Defence Kidz stuff, but I like art. And so for me, it's like a real like brain calming way for me to take 5.
Yeah.
It's
like adult play, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like Play-Doh. I mean, it is. And, like I still take time with, my kids and stuff. Like I'll definitely just binge TV shows when I feel flat. And it happens like more often than I would like, but I'll go hard because I sprint. I don't have marathons. I sprint and then I pause and I sprint and then I pause. And I'm getting better at realizing when I need to pause. But that's been a challenge. My brain just doesn't like to pause, but my body makes me occasionally. You'll go, you're done. Like you need to have a break. So I definitely try and be present with my kids. I mean, and even then though, like it's a challenge, right? Because my brain is always on Defence Kidz, like all the time. So I have to really go, okay, Hayley, take a pause, go play Play-Doh with your kids, but because I'm so invested, and I also know that what I'm creating is for them as well. So I feel like it's this weird sort of feeling where it's like I'm doing this for you as well, family. Like I'm not just, this isn't about the wider community as well. Like it is about them, but it's also for my kids as well, making sure that, that they've got a legacy. So when they're older and when they go to uni, there might be a tick box at university where they could just be like, okay, I'm a military child here. You're going to be supported X, Y, and Z because of these reasons, So I think this will have a ripple effect. And as they grow on, as we continue to talk about the challenges and things that we can see and continue to advocate for them, it's going to make their life easier too. So, and this is why I'm particularly passionate about it because I can see at my kids that they need help. So if they need help, other kids must need help too. So yeah, so I think going back, I just went on a side tangent, but going back to your question, I think it's, sitting down with a coffee and just having that moment of pause, I think is really important. But sometimes when I'll go for a drive and just call a friend and we'll just chat about life. And I'll go for a drive down to the beach and I'll just, have the windows open, smell the sea, and then drive home with just some music or chatting with friends. And that fills my cup.
Yeah. I was going to say cup fillers.
Yeah. And I've got really, I have amazing people around me, that I always feel like once I've had a chat with them, they fill my cup. So like Daniel Vincent from Trojan's Trek. I don't know if right. Okay. Yeah. Dan. I call him Daniel because I feel like it's hilarious. But Dan, he's phenomenal as a person. I he often fills my cup. I'm on the board for Trojan's Trek as well.
Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, Trojan's Trek is, this, I guess, I don't know how to explain. It's like a wellness camp. Like you go to a camp out in the middle of nowhere with a group of veterans and first responders, and it's just life changing. So, and it's all funded. So it's like, if you don't know Trojan's Trek, like absolutely look them up because they are just game changers and it's amazing.
I've done 2 episodes with Roger Eichler, who, works with Trojan's Trek as well.
Oh,
And
amazing.
they're about to go actually to do the Kokoda Trek next.
And they,
remember.
they tried to get me on there, and I said, I love it for you. It is not for me. Love that for them and we'll support them. But I was just like, yeah, that's not happening. That is not me. But I've definitely donated and supported them. But yeah, but I think, he's one of those ones that he really does fill my cup. Like Kelly Hopkins, amazing. The new Veterans Families Commissioner, Annabelle Wilson. Have you met her yet? If not, reach out. She's phenomenal. She used to be the CIO of Melbourne Legacy, and she's just taken over Gwen Cherney's role. Gwen is another one.
Saw that they had a changeover there.
Yeah. So she's amazing. She's a change maker, phenomenal woman, just an inspirational person. So she's definitely one. Julie Hall from CommBank, she helps veterans in the CommBank space. She's phenomenal. She's on our board as well. Like, we have really good people, that powerful women that surround me all the time. Yeah. So when I feel that my cup is not great, I will reach out to these people. Miranda Van Hoof from Gallipoli Medical Research. She's another great one. If you want on a podcast, she's phenomenal. She does a lot of research around military families. These people are change makers. It's like you are who you hang with. I've purposely found these people in my world, and the reason that I'm, I guess, so successful in what I do is because they're behind cheerleading and amplifying me. That's the reality. Like, I may be at the front. I can assure you, I've literally got an army behind me of cheerleaders who are in the veteran space, who are continuously pushing me forward. I mean, Veterans SA, they are so supportive of everything I do. I can ring them, I can ring the minister's advisors and say, can I just debrief with you? And they every time yep, what do you need? So, we're very lucky. We're very lucky to have these people around us that keep amplifying with their little pom-poms, and it makes the difference, right? Like, I feel like if I didn't have them, I would probably be burnt out, to be quite honest.
Yeah. That's good. I'm so glad that you've got that support. Yeah.
And I think everybody needs cheerleaders. Mine are pretty loud. Mine are pretty loud, which is great. I love that. I mean, it's, they're definitely amazing. Like, even this morning, Julie Hall was on a podcast for Defence Connect, and there's a whole segment on Defence Kidz and how fabulous I am. They're just... So they're sending me I said this about you this morning. I was like, oh, thank you. It's, so it's good. It's good when you've got these people around you. And look, men are great too. Don't get me wrong. Got some great, Dan and stuff, amazing male cheerleaders. But the women, weapons in this industry.
Yes. Women are incredible, I think, especially when collaboration and community and all that sort of stuff, just formidable.
Yeah, and it makes a big difference. I think when you've got, and I think it's the positivity as well. They're so positive that, if I'm just feeling a bit, they're like, you've got this, bring your sparkle, you're fine. I've got a pep talk. And I was like, okay, all right, I can do this, So I always go into situations where I don't feel comfortable with this massive array of cheerleaders behind me. So I'm like, okay, well, if they think I can do it, well, I guess I can. That's sort of the mentality that you go in with. So yeah, they're great. I love them. I love them all.
Yeah. Do you take volunteers? You were just saying before how busy you are packing up the deployment packs and all that sort of stuff. Can other people come and help you?
So we're going to move into that space, I think.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so what I think will happen is, and there's something that the board is talking about at the moment, actually. So it's about coordinating that. So we'll probably have some Defence Kidz packing days and things like that, where corporates can get involved. and they can come down, or volunteers come down and, pack some bags and things for us for sending. So that's definitely on the horizon and something that's definitely needed, because it's not sustainable with notepads and Hayley at a, kitchen table.
No, good. All right. Well, it's a watch this space then for people that might want to get involved. Yeah.
No, definitely. Look, and we've definitely had some spouses reach out being like, how can we help? So there's definitely a need that spouses are really keen to get involved. Even kids, we've had kids like reaching out saying, how can we be involved? So there's definitely a need. And I think that's something that we can definitely do. Packing day. So I think at the moment, I think it's more like once we get some more funding to be able to create the packs and things and we get the actual physical items, then we'll be able to do it at a larger scale. But watch this space. I don't think it's going to be long. We're sort of on this fast trajectory at the moment. So
that's so good. And I've just got one last question, but it's a big one. What have you got coming up for the rest of 2025?
So 2025. So we have a Defence Kidz Families Day in November in South Australia. So that's going to be really exciting. We've got RAA supporting that as a major sponsor. So we are so incredibly thankful. Yeah, it's a big one, right? We're incredibly thankful. So they're going to be sponsoring that event with some minor sponsors coming in underneath as well. So that's going to be at the Adelaide Zoo. So that's really exciting. Cannot wait for that.
Do they still have the pandas there? The two
They have pandas there.
Yeah,
they pandas though. They had to replace the old ones because they weren't having panda babies.
Yeah, I remember that was a bit of an issue actually when I was there.
Discrimination. Why are we getting rid of pandas? Because they're not breeding. Like I feel like this is discrimination, right? And also, how rude. Like, oh, what? So you don't want babies, so we need to get rid of you? Like, terrible message. Anyway,
And this is beautiful.
It's so beautiful. I was in uproar when I heard. I was like, we really love these pandas. Why should we get rid of them? Because they don't want babies. Like, it's their right. My partner was like, calm down, human rights lawyer. Like, anyway, so we've got new pandas, but they're lovely. So it's going to be it'll be a beautiful day, and we've got some like a big picnic area, and we're going to have like a barbecue, and it will just be really good for connection. So that's coming up. We've also just received funding for, and I won't tell you who it is because they want a big announcement, and it's going to be amazing when they announce it, for 3 books over the next 12 months. They're in creation at the moment. One is going to be around deployment. One of them is going to be around transition, and one of them is going to be around commemorative events. So the transition one will also include military identity themes. So that's going to be really exciting because I think that's a space in which we're sort of moving into, how do we best support children around transitions? So I think that this book would be really cool. And it's also going to be curriculum aligned, which is really exciting. So they'll be able to use them in schools.
Yeah.
So watch that space. That's going to be really exciting. And it will be illustrated by Nicole Mackenzie again, the same as these. It will be the same characters and written by Joe Bretch and the producer. So Defence Spouses leading the way. So that's really exciting. What else do we have on? We have got so much on. I'm just trying to think. So we've also got, I haven't told you about Flat Out Bands. So we've just got a beautiful sponsorship with Flat Out Bears. So Flat Out Bears are an Australian business. They are run by 2 sisters, I believe. I think they're sisters, and they are iconic. So it's basically a bear that is 100% Australian sheepskin, and they're flat. So I've had them with my children since they were born. Like, it was one of the first gifts that I bought them was a Flat Out bear. And so we were talking to them the other week, and I said, we're looking for something to replace the koalas in the sensory packs because we're running out. We've had 140 and we're nearly at the end, and we need something to keep that going, and we want something to be sensory. And they said, oh, absolutely, we can help you out. So they've come on board, which is amazing. So if you don't know who they are, look them up because they are phenomenal, and their bears are just beautiful, and they're 100% like Australian wool. So I love them personally. I think they're fantastic. We've also got some more postcards. We just ran a postcard competition for military children to send in their artwork for postcards. So we're announcing that actually today. So that's going to be really exciting.
Exciting.
Yeah. So that's so beautiful. The winners, one of them, I had to pick 2 because I couldn't choose which one, but one of them's got a Navy theme and it's the most beautiful picture. And the other one's got an Army theme. and it's like tanks and stuff. So watch this space. Oh, it's so beautiful. So we've got that coming up. We're also working on further packs. So we've got deployment packs, obviously. We've just launched the bereavement packs. So with the bereavement packs, we do them on an as needs basis. So families just reach out when there's been a passing, and I put something together for them. So it's not really like a set pack. It depends on the child's age. And same with all the packs, actually. It will depend on their age, depending on which one they get. So we've got those. But I'm really into prevention and postvention. So we're going to be putting in pre-deployment packs, which I think is going to be really exciting. And then maybe even, like a postvention pack where after the parents are reunited with the children, and some activities and things to get them connected again after the time away from each other. And maybe even a school pack. I thought that would be really cool to have a pack that when you move into a new school, you've got some items to sort of make you feel connected into the community better and quicker. So we've got a whole array of packs coming out. So watch this space with those. But yeah, we're definitely looking for sponsors for those, because I think they're going to be really impactful for our community. And, any way that we can make sure that these children feel better supported, happy to do that. So yeah, so that's exciting. So that's the end of this year. And then we're still going to JTA seminars. I've got some other podcasts I'm doing with Defence Connect and Legacy. I'm also going to the DVA Veteran Families Forum this year. If you don't know about that, that's really cool. So it's basically an annual forum run by DVA where they ask our opinions on strategy, and it gets created into their wellbeing strategy for the year. So advising on that as well. Yeah. So I've got a lot of those advocacy, forums, and where I'm just basically telling people my thoughts. There's a lot of those going on for the rest of the year.
Isn't that incredible? Like from your book to now, and the voice that you've created for yourself, but for that whole community of people. It's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. And it feels like it was really quick, but it also feels like I've always been doing it. Yeah. So it's sort of, it's pretty great. Like, I love it. It's, it's a privilege.
Yeah. I think just talking to you for this, a little bit over an hour, your face is so bright and your smile is so wide. You're obviously doing really, really meaningful work.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Look, I just think that, it's, and it's good fun, honestly. Yeah. It's actually good fun. Like, working with kids, their honesty, they're just great. Like, even yesterday, my child, I'm raising advocates, which is quite funny because I didn't realize it was happening. But they're definitely little advocates. And one of them has decided that she's going to be the SRC rep at reception level. She's already told the teachers. And then I was like, okay, I will support that. That's great. Love that for you. But the teacher was like, in all of her 17 years, never has a reception asked to do this role. And she was straight up in it as soon as she heard about it. But and this is the thing as well, I think the power of Defence Kidz is that we're teaching children to use their voices. And so, even dropping her off at school yesterday, she said to me, oh, what's that building over there? And I said, oh, that's the hospital that's being built in Adelaide. It's a big deal. She said, oh, who goes there? And I said, oh, it's for women and children. She said, only women and children? And I said, well, yeah, like it's because there's special needs and babies, and I explained it to her. And she said, where's the one for the men? And I thought, okay, it's actually a really good question. I said, well, and I thought, oh, this is going to be terrible to answer. So I said, well, they're sort of lunging for the rest of the community. They're in like a general hospital and everybody just goes there. She said, right. And she said, so is there a hospital for the elderly? And I said, yeah, there is actually. Like, there's repats and things. Yeah, absolutely. She said, there's one for children. I said, yeah. One for women. It's like, yeah. One for old people. And I was like, yes. She goes, there's not one for fathers and for daddies and for men. And I was like, no, it's not. And she was like, well, that's really unfair. Mum, if you can please tell the government that they need to build this hospital, it would and get back to me. And I was like, what is going on? And I was like, okay, well, yep, I can do that. That's fine. And so I sent a message to the minister's office and said, Alice wants to know There's not a men's hospital in Adelaide. And or alternatively, is there a men's wing? Can you please find out? And so he said, look, men don't get sick. And I said, well, there's a man flu. Let's not let's not talk about the man flu. And so he rang me and he said, oh, and I said, I'm going to put you on speaker and Alice has got a question. And so he said, okay, I'm happy to field our question. And so Alice then, this brave 6-year-old, stood up and she said, excuse me, I would like to know why there's not a men's hospital and why there's one for women and children and elderly, but not one for men. And he said, oh, look, I only gave her this response of, I'm not quite sure. If there's a wing, we'll look into it and we'll get back to you. And then she abruptly said, great, thanks. I'll wait for you to get back to me. Mum, if you could just let me know when you get a response, that would be great. And then she toddled off and started playing with Barbies on the floor again. And I was in hysterics. I was like, wow, what just happened here? And so I sort of quickly took him off speaker and he was like, I wonder where she gets that from. I'm like, wow. So, but it's interesting, right? Because it's empowering and, you can't be what you can't see.
Yeah.
I think it's really important that with all of the things that I do for Defence Kidz, I bring my children along. I bring them to the days. I bring them to commemorative events. I bring them to Anzac Day. They'd been to every single Anzac Day since they were born, every single one. So, I bring them, I make sure that they lay tributes. I make sure that they bow correctly. They do all the things that an adult would do in those events. And I don't even need to tell them now. I've got a 6-year-old who goes up, she lays the little wreath that she's made by herself because it's about, I support her to make what she wants to do. So she makes a wreath with the little hands, which takes a long time, a lot of hot glue. And she makes it, she lays it for commemorative events. She bows down, she slowly walks backwards and then turns around and walks like she's got it down pat. But I think that if we don't bring them to and this is one of my big things, is that bring them to Anzac Day. I get that it's hard. I get that sometimes the kids are going to cry. I get that they get hungry and it's a long time to stand up. I get that it can be difficult at times, but don't let it put you off just because they're being themselves, because they're children. It's okay if you don't want to bring them because you think that, you don't want to go or they're not feeling well or you just think it's going to be too much for you. That's completely fine. But don't let other people saying shh or whatever put you off bringing them to these commemorative events because children belong there. If they want to come, let them come, let them see, let the stories continue, let them hear the legacies that have been told and, the stories, obviously age appropriate ones, but let them experience defence life because it creates advocates in our community and we can never have enough of those.
Yeah. And I think that's important for anyone, regardless if you are a Defence family or not, to take your children to Anzac Day. It's something that even before we were a Defence family that we would always do.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important because it's a great time for conversation around the sacrifices that have been made for our country. So it's a great chat for history. It's a great chat for what it means individually for each person in your family, if you don't have that already. My kids march in the march in town and they do that every single year. And it's, the groups are getting smaller to when we would have been children of people that march. So I think it's just so important to have them involved in just remembering and respecting Australia's history. And that's such a great way to do it.
Yeah, I agree. And, I think the marching is so important. I mean, we go every year and we watch, Brad march. And the kids love it. They've got their that we could not be any more patriotic. They've got their Australian flags. The kids give them out on Anzac Day. So if they see, we buy like a whole bunch of flags beforehand. And if we see kids lining the streets, my kids go up and give them all to the kids and all the people. So everyone's got flags in that section. Yeah. And so they do that. But as soon as they see Dad coming around the corner, oh my goodness, can you hear them? Can you hear them? And they scream and they get excited and they love it. They love being a part of that community. And even when the veterans are going past, they wave to every single one and they yell out, thank you for your service. And it's so cute. Like we had a veteran who was interviewed after he went past our section and they were saying, oh, how do you feel? And he said, oh my goodness, those children yelling out, thank you for your service. He said, it made me cry. Like this is why we do this. We do this for the children. we're marching so that children can see the legacy and they can be a part of it. So it was, you can hear my kids through the whole of Adelaide. But
And if Brad didn't hear them, he'd be able to see when they were coming up because there's a big group of Australian flags on the side just waving.
yeah, you can definitely see the section. Like it's it's a lot, but it's just, it's impactful, it's moving. The kids love it. It's a long day, right? We're there from dawn service all the way until I think my parents take them at 1:00. It's a lot. And then we, catch up with all the veterans and things like that. But for more adult conversations. But it's such a heartfelt day. Like I feel it. I genuinely feel the Anzac spirit when I'm there. And remembering family members that have passed. Like we had a great uncle who passed in World War II, who saved 2 people before he passed away. And we've got these beautiful letters of, him saving them and carrying them to the medics and things like that. So, that's the Anzac spirit, right?
Mhm.
Helping each other, making sure that others are okay, not glorifying war, but making sure that, that we're okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so beautiful. Hayley, thank you so much for your time today. I'm so grateful for all the work that you're doing for Defence Kidz around Australia and the ones that are overseas as well. It's so important. I just think you're so incredible, and thank you so, so much.
Oh, thank you. No, I'm so glad to have come on. And it was such a nice chat. So thank you so much. I feel very welcome.
Yeah. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. If you have, make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss any new ones. We release fresh content every Tuesday. And while you're there, take a moment to leave us a review. I would genuinely appreciate your thoughts. Don't forget to connect with me on Instagram and Facebook at Tactical Yoga Australia and share this episode with your friends, family and workmates to spread inspiration. Your support means the world. My name is Rosie Skeen. Join me again next week for another empowering and positive episode of Triumph Beyond Trauma. Until then, be kind to your mind and trust in the magic of your consistent and positive efforts. Triumph beyond your trauma is closer than you think. Have the best week.